When I was trying to explain to the cops why I was worried about him, I said to them, have you seen the film Forrest Gump? Gian Claudio is Italian Forrest Gump, I said. I said in this way, he's Italian Forrest Gump.
New at 11, the mysterious disappearance of a disabled runner who vanished after crossing the finish line at the New York City Marathon.
Who came here from Italy to run the race on Sunday, and when it was over, he vanished.
Welcome to TCS New York City Marathon, the greatest marathon in the world, the greatest city in the world. On your mark.
There's nothing quite like Marathon Day in New York. 50,000 runners. 1 million spectators lining the avenues, cheering on strangers. It's the largest marathon in the world, and for the runners, it's a bucket list event. Many running for something much bigger than themselves. Heading into Central Park and crossing that finish line represents a major accomplishment, a happy ending.
Your help finding a missing marathon runner. His name is Gian Claudio Marengo.
Gian Claudio Marengo.
Gian Claudio Marengo, 30 years old.
He was last seen on Sunday afternoon at the marathon finish line inside Central Park. Police say he is mentally disabled. He's from Italy, and he only speaks Italian.
A recovering drug addict. We've learned he was in New York to run the marathon with residents of San Patrignano. That's a famous European addiction rehabilitation center. The marathon website indicates Marengo finished the 26.2 miles, and then he vanished. The NYPD asking anyone who sees the missing man to call police.
I was without hope. I admit, I was without hope of finding him. What can you do, going around looking for a man? So it's impossible. Gian Claudio is a former drug user. Doesn't speak English. He has a cognitive disability. The first time in New York, alone, after running 42 kilometers. Without money, without place to sleep, without nothing. It was a nightmare, long-lasting nightmare, without finish.
At the beginning, it was like a joke. Gian Claudio is lost. Why isn't come back?
There was like a bunch of bets going on. You know, I was hearing people saying he ran off smoking crack. I heard other people saying that he got lost. I heard other people saying that he died. So nobody really knew what happened.
I am the responsibility of this. Responsible. Because I chose him in the group. I asked him to come in New York. And I gave him my bill. So a lot of ways to feel guilty about what's happening. He came with us in New York, but not for running marathon.
That's right. Gian Claudio Marengo, the missing marathoner, wasn't even supposed to run the marathon in the first place. So how did it happen that he not only ran the race, but then vanished at the finish line? Gian Claudio's marathon story began in the serene hills of San Patrignano, a famous drug rehab community in Italy. Recovering addicts go there to live and work in an isolated, commune-like setting for 3 to 4 years. The program, which is completely free, allows recovering addicts to truly restart their lives. Gian Claudio had come to San Patrignano from Terni, a working-class town 60 miles from Rome. He was raised there by his adoptive parents, who thought they couldn't have children of their own, though they did have another son 5 years later. Growing up, Gian Claudio struggled with insecurities and learning disabilities. He was impressionable, and as a teenager, he fell in with a bad crowd. He started experimenting with drugs around age 13, first with marijuana, then pills and cocaine. By the time he was 21, he was shooting heroin regularly. At 26, An overdose prompted him to seek help. Soon after, he left home to join the program at San Patrignano. Once there, Jean Claudio had a chance to start his life anew. He was taught new vocations and job skills, and encouraged to participate in sport. For Jean Claudio, like many others in San Patrignano, long-distance running became a new, positive addiction.
Before Jean Claudio came in San Patrignano, he was very, very big one, a very fat one. To lose weight, he started running.
Jean Claudio trained every day with the community's running group. Each year, a handful of the fastest runners from that group, those nearing the end of the program, are offered a chance to run in the New York City Marathon.
We are running New York City Marathon because it's a way to see to the world that everybody can succeed in recovering from addiction.
Spots on the New York City Marathon trip are reserved for the best runners in the program. Jean Claudio wasn't one of them. However, when an extra airline ticket became available at the last minute, Antonio Boschini saw an opportunity to do something special for an especially dedicated member of the running club.
I asked Jean Claudio if he would like to come with us in New York, not for running marathon, but like an experience. It was not for running marathon.
The team from San Patrignano arrived in New York with 2 days to prepare for the race. The first night, they attended an event.
Now, this is video from Friday when the Italian runners met with the Italian Consul General on the East Side. You can see we've highlighted the missing runner.
The next day, Antonio Boschini gave each person a subway map, a card with the hotel address, an unlimited Metro pass, and then led a race day walkthrough. On the morning of the marathon, they would travel together to the starting corrals in Staten Island. The race winds its way through all 5 boroughs of New York before ending in Central Park. From there, the runners would take the B train at 72nd Street and transfer to the F train, which led out 2 blocks from their hotel in Queens. During this walkthrough, as these details were discussed, Jean Claudio believed that he was only going to be a spectator. He went to bed that night, not knowing he'd be running the race the next day.
On Sunday morning, when we woke up, I had pain on my back, and I decided in a moment, a flash. Okay, I will give him my bib.
And he was running with someone else's bib number, which sometimes happens.
I knew that he would like to run the marathon. It was very important, in my opinion, for a man like Jean Claudio to say when he come back in Italy, I'm a finisher of New York Marathon. And then after he put my bib, I take a photo of Jean Claudio smiling, the same photo that I saw after 2 days every time in the television. He was smiling because he knew that he can run the marathon.
According to the NYPD, he finished the marathon, which would have ended up right around here, 68th Street, Central Park West, inside the park.
Antonio assumed right away that Jean Claudio had gotten lost when he didn't return to the hotel with the other runners. That same evening, he took the whole team back to the finish line in Central Park to search for their missing friend.
We go around in Central Park, but it's impossible to find a person in New York in the night.
Antonio enlisted the help of the Italian consulate, who in turn coordinated police involvement. Normally, a person isn't considered missing unless they are gone for more than 24 hours. But Jean Claudio, fragile, tired, alone, and without money, needed help sooner.
The only things we can do was to remain in the hotel waiting and thinking, waiting and thinking, waiting and thinking.
For the next 36 hours, Antonio waited in the hotel, hoping that Jean Claudio would be found alive, if he turned up at all. He also ensured that the rest of the running team made their flight back to Italy. He stayed behind in order to continue the search for Jean Claudio, which was looking more and more hopeless with each passing hour.
I remained awake also the second night. At 8, I received a call from the Italian consulate.
This is breaking news. The runner from Italy who went missing after the New York City Marathon has been found.
Yes, he ran the race, but then vanished after crossing the finish line.
As I was sitting across from this gentleman, in my mind, it's like, is this the person that they're looking for? And I saw him, he looked like he was in distress.
The officer approached him and asked if he was okay.
He spoke to me back in Italian, but I just want to use mannerism to identify myself, let him know that I am a police officer and everything is going to be okay. And then his eyes lit up like, kind of like relief, like somebody actually going to help me.
A cop said to him, "Are you Italian?" "Yes." "Are you a runner? Are you finished marathon?" "Yes." "Are you missing?" "Yes." "Okay, come with me." 3 words, 3 questions, 3 answers. Yes, yes, yes.
1, 2, 3.
Sono stato contento prima di tutto da stare lì a New York e poi ero molto anche emozionato ed energico da fare questa maratona e in poche parole anche le persone che lì dentro ti caricano e ti danno molta forza, per esempio anche arrivare alla fine della maratona. Quando sono arrivato al 38esimo chilometro, che ero finito, che proprio mi sentivo più le gambe e volevo mollare, dentro di me ho detto voglio arrivare proprio alla fine. E quando sono arrivato alla fine, che mi hanno dato la medaglia, io proprio lì non me l'aspettavo una cosa del genere, proprio ero contentissimo.
At the finish line, Gianclaudio's joy quickly turned to fear. In his exhausted state, he'd forgotten how to get back to the hotel. Also, the subway map and hotel business card had fallen out of his fanny pack during the race.
E da lì sono andato in balla e non sono riuscito più a trovarmi nell'albergo e nella strada. E in poche parole non sono riuscito manco a chiedere aiuto.
Afraid and unable to communicate in English, he decided to sit and wait for help in Central Park.
Avevo paura delle persone che mi circondavano. Ho visto gente senza tetto, gente che strillava in mezzo a New York perché gente ubriaca.
As it got colder, Gianclaudio left Central Park and wandered the streets of Manhattan. He eventually took refuge in the subway. He would spend the next day and a half riding around New York, hoping someone would find him.
Dopo il secondo giorno che stavo in giro per New York, ho pensato che, in poche parole, non ritrovando più la strada, io avevo pensato che mi avessero lasciato lì e se ne sarebbero andati. Mi sentivo disperato, proprio non avevo più speranze, perché non sapevo come ritornare qua. E quando il poliziotto mi ha ritrovato sulla metropolitana, io sono rimasto molto contento che qualcuno mi ha ritrovato.
The off-duty officer took Gianclaudio, who was exhausted and still wearing his marathon gear, to get a donut before taking him to the hospital. His long ordeal was finally over.
I saw him in the hospital, in the bed, smiling, with three the breakfast, lunch, and something else from the other people, because it was like a star. All the people, nurses, doctors, Italian consulate, policemen, all the people around him, he was smiling, speaking, and I don't know in Italian. I think it was a miracle we found him.
Well, I just remember that when Jean-Claude got here, after he got lost, after he spent 2 days running around New York, after he went to the hospital, after he flew back, he got all the way over here without even taking a shower. He was wearing the NYPD shirt that the policeman gave him, because when he found him, he was still wearing his marathon shirt and a medal. And he was real happy. He was like laughing like nothing ever happened, man.
Ma anche fisicamente non è che dici è portato lui per la corsa. Appena lo guardi pensa subito a un Homer Simpson. Invece riesce a portare avanti anche la corsa.
Gianclaudio non ha il fisico da maratoneta, però quello che ha Gianclaudio è una gran tenacia.
In 2016, Gianclaudio finished his 4-year program at San Patrignano. He now lives at home with his parents in Terni, Italy, where he's continued to stay off drugs and runs every day.
So marathon is a long run. And recovery from addiction is a long run. He is running regularly with a group. He's doing well. Normal life without drugs. He has a job. He is training in the sport he likes, running.
La corsa è il punto chiave della mia vita. Sì, sono fidanzato e sono 2 mesi. Domani che mi sposerò racconterò tutto questo ai miei figli, perché secondo me è stata una bellissima esperienza, anche come prima volta prendere un aereo e andare in America.
It would be wonderful if we'll come back in New York to run another marathon.
Io sarei ricontento a rifare la maratona di New York con Boschini. Let's do it!